Hello everyone. I'm Andie and I'm the founder and creative director of Scruffy Dog Studio. It's a small design studio that specializes in branding, website design and development, SEO, developing apps and WordPress plugins, and also online marketing and branding strategies. Thank you, Grace, for giving me the opportunity to share some of my thoughts on branding. So today I'm going to do a quick talk about why branding is so important for small business owners and why small business owners should see it as an investment, and also like few ideas and tips and pointers on what sort of pricing you may be looking at when you are looking for good branding for your small business, and also what sort of prices you may be looking at if you are thinking of investing in getting some SEO done for you on an ongoing basis or a one-off basis as well by external experts. I'm going to first start with why you should really get some consistent branding, because often I see a lot of small business owners and who try to skimp on that, because a lot of the times we tend to think that branding is like an expense. But to be honest, branding is an investment that you should really look into it. When you run a small business, some of the first things that people look into or look at is your brand. They recognize you by the color, by the style, by the product that you're selling. So if your branding is not on point, you run the risk of losing your clientele because they don't think that your brand is something that they can trust. So building up your brand and spending money on it is actually a really, really good investment. Now, there are some things that I also want to make very clear, is that you should see the branding as something like a permanent asset. So if you're looking at finances, there's two kind of assets. There's permanent assets, and then there's temporary assets, which are caused by temporary expenses. Treat your branding as a permanent asset, because when you invest in good branding, it's going to still give you returns even once it's finished. In the sense, like, let's say you get a designer and they design a really good brand for you, and you spend, let's say, X amount of dollars, or $3,000, $4,000 on someone to do the job right. Sure, it's an expense at that point of time, but if you look at the returns you get once your brand has that really strong look and feel, and you build up the reputation, you get your returns back like tenfold. So the other thing that you also need to look at is, marketing strategies. So basically, make sure that if you're going to spend money on branding, it goes hand in hand with a solid marketing strategy. Most good branding people will actually include a marketing strategy as well, because they are all about creating, super fixed, permanent, or sometimes semi-permanent, I suppose, assets for your brand, and it's going to provide you value long after the original point of, creation by the original designer. Some examples of branding that's going to perform for you is like the content that you're creating, the logo, the style. That's going to give you returns even after it's done. Similarly with SEO, for example, when you publish an article, the article will remain there indefinitely, right? So it's not going anywhere. So it'll give you value back in so many different ways. So every piece of beautifully branded content or item you create is staying there once it's published, and you can build value on it. So you need to look at it as like an investment, and then understand that the initial one, which is a temporary expense, is just temporary, right? Once you've finished like putting money onto a brand, that's it, done. The other thing that I would like some touch points that I want to mention as well is why branding, spending money on a good branding is really important. One is it attracts really good and better customers, because when someone does your branding for you properly, they do proper research and they can identify exactly what type of customers are aligned to your company and to your business's unique culture, the essence, the style, and the purpose. So basically, a clearly defined, client avatar, or let's say audience, enables you to build a message that targets specifically to the right customers. So, you know, then that way you build up a brand loyalty, which becomes really valuable over a long period of time. You know, that's not something you can build in a day, but when you have this done properly, you're creating a loyal following, which will also convince their friends and families to buy your product as well. So it definitely attracts better customers. Second is, like, when you build a really, really good brand, you can command, or rather you can ask for a really premium price, and people are happy to pay for it, you know, because let's face it, it is true. People don't just buy the product, they buy the brand, they experience the feel. So, you know, people are willing to pay a really high top price for the premium brand that you have invested in. So again, see it as an investment, and it's so worth, you know, putting good value and money into it. Branding also puts you in a power to position yourself as an industry leader. Think about it. If you have like a weak looking brand, people are not really going to take you seriously, let's face it. So, you know, if you invest on it, it's going to put you in a position as an industry leader, you know, and if you can then, and if it's created properly, it'll also create like a point of difference to justify why people should pay you what you're asking. So again, that's good for your revenue, right? The third one I would say is, you know, it basically reduces marketing costs in the overall picture. So, you know, you can go, oh, I'll get a logo today, and I'll get this today and that today, and basically you end up creating a non-cohesive brand. However, if you spend money on good branding, it actually reduces your overall marketing costs, because one, it is cohesive. So basically there's consistency through and throughout all your platforms. Then secondly, it increases the efficiency and the effectiveness of all your marketing ideas and whatever stuff that you put in on your marketing material, because they're all part of the same brand, the same feel, the same look, right? So again, good branding means better understanding your target audience, and you know, developing campaigns that's highly relevant, and it's also quite concise and precise and on point with your brand values and strategies. So you're not wasting time in, you know, in messages that are scattered or which are not consistent, or it's like, you know, one day you look like Coke, tomorrow you look like, I don't know, Shell. So people are really confused, like, what exactly do you do? What are you selling? So it's really worth, once again, to understand that it's good to spend money on branding, and it should be seen as an investment. And also, when you have a bold identity, it means that the campaigns or the marketing material that you put out will always have a point of difference. People will always know, oh yeah, you know what, this is so and so. It's done by them. It's got the signature look, and it really, really builds brand loyalty again. Fourthly, you know what, having a good brand actually helps you close your sales more easily and effectively. And I'll tell you that from experience. So basically, the difference between trying to sell a boring, outdated brand and a fresh, really cool, strong brand is like the difference between trying to sell, let's say, you know, a crappy, cheapo t-shirt and a really nice, expensive, branded shirt that people will pay good money because they know the material's good, the design is one of a kind, almost like an haute couture design, right? So it's important that, you know, you understand this, because branding does give you, and if you have a sales team, the advantage. They need to close deals, and that's good for you, right? That's an investment worth making, isn't it? The other one I would say is good branding also boosts the value of your, you know, of your brand and your company or your business. You know, this is the part that a lot of small businesses don't understand, is brand equity. When you invest in a good brand, you're actually building brand equity. So it doesn't just allow you to increase the point of your you know, of your products and services, but it also has you know, it determines how a customer is going to behave, how your, you know, how the brand's going to perform as well. So yes, it's true. When you invest in proper branding, the initial investment, yeah, you may put a lot of money into it, but the thing is, it's an investment, just like buying a good property. It's going to give you returns back. So, you know, and then you can make improvements. You can make little, you know, you can enhance the brand down the track. So it's like making little renovations to your house with a good base. But if you build your base badly, then, you know, whatever you add on top, it's not going to look good. So it's kind of like something I tell my kids. It's like, you know, if something's poop and if you put anything on it, it's still going to be like poops. However, if something's a lotus and you add some other nice lotuses around it, it's going to make it look even better. So, you know, that's why it's really important to spend money on your brand and see it as an investment and not as an expense, because a lot of people think, oh, you know what, I'll crimp on the logo, or, you know, I'll just get someone to draw a little sketch, or I'll just put something together real easy. But honestly, don't do it that way. Put some time, put some effort, get someone who knows what they're doing, and, you know, make that investment so that you, your business and your brand looks all together as one united, you know, unit, rather than this scattered picture where people are completely confused. The other thing that I would like to also touch that, look, it takes time, and you know, it takes time to build a good brand. You know, you wouldn't crimp on the safety, right, of your cars. And your brand is kind of like that. You know, your brand is the face of your business. Your brand is so much, it is part of your business. So you need to really, really put some attention to it. In terms of pricing, I would say if you are looking for any good branding person, or a company or a studio like us, you're probably looking at prices that are over $2,000, and that can range from 2 to 10 grand, depending on what exactly you are asking and what the company is offering. I would totally ask you to stay away from $200 logos, because honestly, half of the time they're either copies or not much thought has been put into the branding, and so you don't get something memorable. And then, you know, and we get this all the time as well. We get people who are like, oh, you know, I had someone drop something, we started off, but honestly now we've got all these different elements, can you put them together? So what's happened to them is they have ended up spending more money. So they spend little bits of money here and there, like scattered money. So, and if you were to bring it all together, you'd see, wow, it's actually a lot of money. And then they come to someone like us and they go, oh, now you need to put it, rebrand it. So that's like double, right, the expense. So why go into that path when you can actually just avoid it and completely do it right from the beginning, and see it as a really good investment. In terms of SEO, I would say, like, it's really important, if you've got a website, make sure it's done right in the first place. It's set up right with all the basic SEO stuff that's needed, because Google does have a checkpoint that they look for on a website, and it's worth spending. So what are we looking expense-wise? So if for us, for example, if someone came to us and said, oh, can you make our site, like, you know, super good with SEO, we just go, look, we need to do an audit first. And that's what most good SEO companies would do. They would do an audit of your website, and audits have varying prices again, right? Because it depends on the businesses. So it can range from, I don't know, $260 to some people charging $450. So, and then sometimes some people like, oh, we'll do a basic audit really free. So audits can vary, but ask them what they're giving you in that audit. So for example, if you came to us, we would be going through each and every page of your website and basically working out what's working for your website, what's not working for your website, what can be done to improve it, what you can do to improve it as well, and what we can offer as well to, you know, improve it. So there's two kinds of SEOs. Like, one is like a one-off, you just set it up and then you ask people to do it, and then there are others which are ongoing. So the one-offs, after the audit's done, which is the price range I've given you, there's one-offs, which is another price. So it could also include something like, oh, you know, we need to redesign the site because it has not been set, and that's part of SEO as well. So be aware of those kind of investments. Ongoing SEO is, again, another territory where different people charge different things, and sometimes it's really hard to know who is doing the right and who's doing the wrong things. But one of the easiest way to find out is to ask them what's provided, and then you know exactly what you're getting. But generally speaking, you're probably looking at over $500 a month, to some people even charging $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month for SEO for a website. Again, SEO is a competitive field, you know, and depends on what industry you're in. So let's say if someone was in the cleaning industry, for them, they would have to spend more money on SEO because it's very competitive. Everybody wants to be on the top, like every cleaning company does. And so, like, someone was thinking of investing in SEO on an ongoing basis, they would be looking at spending more money. But if it's not so much of a competitive field, then definitely your expenses are not going to be that high. I suppose That's it. I don't know what else to talk about. I'm sure if you guys have any questions for me, please feel free to ask me about branding and your SEO. And I hope I've been able to sort of empower you financially when it comes to your branding, building up your brand for your business, and also when it comes to SEO. Thank you. Bye.